Hello everyone, I'm Beniki Mahendra and welcome to our post-budget analysis. Just a few hours ago, FM Nirmala Sitharaman presented her fifth straight budget in which she listed the government's focus areas in the healthcare sector, aiming to establish 157 new nursing colleges to planning to launch a mission to eliminate sickle cell anemia by 2047. These were some of the topics that came up in the budget today. To analyze today's developments, we have with us Shuchi Ray, partner Deloitte India, who will help us decode about everything about the budget that took place today. So, Suchi, hi.
Hi, hello.
So, Suchi, first of all, I would like to start to understand whether how you perceive the budget and what was your perception. Do you think the budget lived up to your expectations or what you wanted from this year's budget for the healthcare sector, or do you believe that there were certain segments or sub-segments that were ignored, which were ignored but should have been more focused on this time around?
So the focus on research and development, which was expected. So definitely there are announcements with respect to public-private partnership and use of ICMR labs. So that's a welcome step, and that clearly shows the emphasis of the government on the research and development and using the talent. There is also a clear focus with respect to recognition of the skill of research and manufacturing in medical devices. So that's also recognized and has been clearly called out. What possibly, which and government has very specifically said that they do recommend the industry to do it, to invest in research and development, though the fiscal incentives that were expected in the budget, we could not really see that in the fine print. So had they been also there, or maybe some reforms from GST perspective, which makes either the import of equipment from which will be used in the R&D, etc. We could not really see some of those things. So had they been there, there would have been, it would have been more, it would have been better. So that's on the R&D. The good part is with respect to the skill development. There is a clear-cut skill development lack which has been there, and with the announcement of all the nursing colleges with all the 157 medical colleges. So that I think is definitely a good and a very, very welcome step, and I'm sure that in the long run that we will not have really the shortage of the skill set. Also, it utilizes the talent skill. It also obviously clearly boosts the going forward employment as well. So this there. I think there was one more expectation, which was to use the facilities, using technology. So now in the 5G announcement, there's a mention of healthcare also. So definitely, I think the more technology will be used even with respect to the healthcare infrastructure. Though I think the allocation of that will possibly, I don't want to really reconcile that, but I think that will also be there when it comes to implementation. But overall, when I really read the fine print, I feel that the implementation is going to be the key, and for which we'll have to wait and watch.
Okay, speaking of implementation, the another thing that was stood up is the fact that last year the expenditure in healthcare was increased to around 2.1% of the GDP. So, and however, this year there has been no such announcement about increase in healthcare. But when we talk about, the government has talked about establishing 157 new nursing colleges. The question here arises that, do you think there is a need to establish new colleges, or should we actually allocate those budget towards the existing colleges who are facing infrastructure and operational challenges?
Yeah. So this was something which also, it was expected that there is going to be an increase in the budget allocation, because Honorable Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia also had spoken about increase in the budget from 1.9 to approximately 2.5% of the GDP. However, we could not really see any much increase. It was from, I think, 83 or 88. Now it is standing, I think, at around 89,000 crores. So there is not much increase in the budget, which was expected. So now from major increase in the budget has been seen in the contribution to the autonomous bodies, which will take care of this infrastructure, establishment of some new colleges and nursing colleges, And the change is also there is an increase to the Ayushman Bharat scheme, so which is a good, again a welcome step, because I think more coverage, more people getting covered under Ayushman Bharat scheme, which is working well, that will definitely help. In terms of now whether the infrastructure vis-a-vis the existing colleges and new colleges, I think it is more, it's a trade-off which one does today. There is definitely a shortage of nursing colleges as well, and we do require the secondary or primary care. What happens in the infrastructure, there is a huge load which comes to the tertiary healthcare. So in case with more and more nurses, if we will have will be able to have a better infrastructure in terms of primary and secondary healthcare, so less burden to the tertiary one. So maybe I think keeping that in perspective, the allocation made towards the nursing colleges or colleges, that is good. But again, I will say we'll have to actually see that that implementation of that, how long will that take, and also the yearly expenditure, where will it really go. So that's on the infrastructure.
Okay. Another thing that I found interesting is the IMCR labs and the collaboration that the FM announced today. So, with regards to that, while it's a very great initiative of collaborating, bringing together public and private sector in terms of ICMR labs and having them collaborate on research and everything, to what extent do you actually see this succeeding? Because when it comes to private sectors, when you're collaborating with public, it comes with a cap on prices. So, to what extent do you actually see that succeeding and actually coming out to be a very good idea?
See, I think in if we see some other countries also, there is always for the research and development, there is always a collaboration between academia, public and private, which is which actually kind of gives you the result. There is a funding and there's an investment which is required. There is an infrastructure which is required. There is a talent which is required, and then the collation of all these three will actually give you something which is going to be innovative. Now, in terms of really using of ICMR labs, so that means that there is something which is already there. The infrastructure is made available. The question is that we need to really bring in the not only the public, private, but I will say the academia needs to be brought in. And the moment that is brought in, that will actually give the results. You have seen those results, maybe not, if not in this sector, but in some other sectors where various IITs and other colleges are included, and we do see some breakthrough technologies being developed. And if you really see from even when we look at the vaccines that were developed in overseas, they all were actually in the collaboration of the academia and industry together. So in case the government is, what I am understanding from this is that government is ready to give its infrastructure, and it is then that we have to really make it more attractive for the industry and academia to come together to get the results. But definitely, I think it's a very clear and a clear step in the direction of ensuring that the government is encouraging the this particular partnership.
While we're talking of vaccines, another question that came to my mind is about the new program that the government wants to launch or is planning to launch to boost the pharmaceutical innovations. So, what do you have to say about that?
So pharmaceutical innovation, yes. So basically, if you if we see the announcement, it's primarily for the R&D innovation. So I'm sure that the idea is to use the talent in India and doing the innovation in India, so that we are able to ultimately develop the drugs here, the ones which we are not which are possibly not currently available, or they may be available only at a very very high price, because they are patented. So if one is able to really do those blue sky research, however, the funding will remain, will be a challenge there. So how do we really cross that obstacle of funding in those innovative drugs? And then again, we also saw that the fiscal incentives currently have not been granted. So my take of that announcement is that industry will need to be given some more incentives to really go towards to taking more steps towards that. and maybe I think some steps in that direction may need to be taken, possibly using through schemes, because there was an R&D scheme that was issued which was at a draft stage, and there was a very clear indication of innovative drugs as well as industry academia collaboration, etc., which were mentioned there. So it is possible that if the government in the near future finalizes that scheme, that would automatically will take care of this particular innovation.
Okay, my last question is regarding the government's plans to eliminate sickle cell anemia by 2024. So, by to what extent do you think this is feasible, or do you think the government is being too ambitious about it? And what will be the steps to actually make this a success?
Yeah. So if you really see, they have themselves, very clearly mentioned as to, which what all they will be really doing within that. So they have said that they are going to be actually doing the universal screening of 7 people, and specifically in the age group of 0 to 40 years, and in the affected tribal areas. So I'm assuming that that where is it prevailing is something which is already recognized. The age bracket which is getting affected by it is also recognized, and the steps that the universal screening, and then doing the awareness creation, those are also already recognized. So with and they have also said that it's going to be a joint effort, a collaborative efforts of the state governments and central ministries. So keeping that in perspective, it's by 2047 that they are saying that they are keeping, seems to be a practical target, not something that it's not a target that cannot be achieved. Again, I think for such kind of things, the more important aspect to which we have experienced is really the collaboration between central and state government, how that gets implemented, and the plan that basically gets adhered to. So, but I feel that it's an achievable target.
Do you have any last comments to talk about the post-budget analysis? We're all Anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I think overall, I will say that it's an inclusive one, because R&D, skill development, and infrastructure, these three things have been taken care of. I'm sure the technology side will also be taken care of along with that 5G case. Possibly, I think some more fiscal incentives to the industry, as well as some GST reforms which are long due. Had they also been there, possibly it would have just boosted the morale of the industry more. That's the concluding remark.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your inputs. And with this, we come to an end of our post-budget analysis series with a special focus on healthcare sector.